Most people think about weight loss in terms of one number, the scale. But here is what almost nobody talks about when that number goes down. It is not just fat you are losing. For a lot of people, especially as they get older, weight loss also comes with a loss of lean muscle mass and bone density. And that second part is a much bigger problem than most people realize. Bone loss during weight loss is not a fringe concern. It is well documented, and it becomes especially relevant as you age. Fractures become more likely. Osteoporosis risk climbs. And if you are losing weight with the help of GLP-1 medications like Ozempic or Wegovy, recent research published in JAMA Network Open has specifically linked these drugs to a reduction in bone density, making the issue even more pressing for the millions of people currently on them. But here is the part that should get your attention. Researchers may have found a specific combination of diet and exercise that protects your bones while you lose weight. And the diet at the center of it is one that doctors have been recommending for heart health for decades. Let us start with the study, because the details matter. Researchers analyzed data from 924 older adults in Spain. All of them had metabolic syndrome and were overweight or obese. The participants were split into two groups. The first group was asked to follow a Mediterranean diet with no calorie restrictions and no required exercise. They could eat as much as they wanted, as long as it followed the Mediterranean pattern. The second group had a more structured approach. They were asked to cut their calories by 30%, follow a Mediterranean-style diet, walk for at least 45 minutes a day, 6 days a week, and do additional exercise focused on strength, flexibility, and balance, 3 days a week. After 1 year, the researchers compared bone density between the two groups. Women in the second group, the ones combining the Mediterranean diet with calorie reduction and regular exercise, had measurably stronger bones, particularly in the lower back, compared to the first group. And that difference did not disappear over time. After 3 years on the same plan, the bone protection trend continued. The researchers concluded that this combination may be a feasible strategy for protecting against bone loss as women get older, particularly during periods of active weight loss. Now, the obvious question, why does losing weight weaken bones in the first place? It usually comes down to nutrition. When people reduce calories to lose weight, they often do not pay close enough attention to whether they are still getting the nutrients their body needs to maintain bone tissue. The bones are not passive structures. They are living tissue that constantly remodels itself, breaking down old bone and building new bone in a continuous cycle. That process requires raw materials, calcium, vitamin D, protein, and magnesium, among others. When a weight loss diet lacks these nutrients, bone loss accelerates. The body is in a calorie deficit, which already puts stress on multiple systems. If it is also not receiving adequate calcium and vitamin D, bone remodeling tilts toward breakdown rather than rebuilding. The result over months and years is a measurable reduction in bone density. The exercise piece is equally important, and this is something a lot of weight loss programs miss entirely. Physical activity, particularly resistance training and weight-bearing exercise, is one of the most direct signals the body receives to maintain and build bone. Without it, the risk of fractures increases, especially in older adults who are already losing bone density as a normal part of aging. Combining calorie reduction with no exercise removes one of the key protective factors for bone health at exactly the moment when that protection is most needed. So why does the Mediterranean diet specifically help? Several reasons, and they work together rather than independently. First, protein. The Mediterranean diet emphasizes protein, and protein plays a direct role in preserving muscle mass. Adequate muscle is another buffer against bone loss. Muscle pulls on bone during movement and exercise, which stimulates bone remodeling in the direction of strength rather than weakness. If you are losing muscle alongside fat during weight loss, you are removing that mechanical stimulation and accelerating the conditions for bone deterioration. Second, nutrient density. The Mediterranean diet is rich in the specific micronutrients that bone tissue depends on. Calcium comes from dairy, leafy greens, and legumes. Vitamin D is supported through fatty fish like salmon and sardines. Magnesium comes from nuts, seeds, and whole grains. Antioxidants from fruits, vegetables, and olive oil reduce the oxidative stress and inflammation that can interfere with normal bone remodeling. The nutrient density of this diet covers multiple bases simultaneously in a way that most restrictive weight loss diets do not. Third, anti-inflammatory effects. Chronic inflammation is increasingly recognized as a contributor to bone loss. It interferes with the cells that build new bone while activating the cells that break bone down. The high antioxidant load of the Mediterranean diet, from olive oil, colorful vegetables, nuts and seeds, and whole grains, directly counters that inflammatory activity. This gives bone remodeling a better environment to function correctly. Fourth, fiber and satiety. Because the Mediterranean diet is naturally high in fiber from produce, legumes, nuts, and whole grains, it helps people feel full even while in a calorie deficit. With fish as the primary animal protein and red and processed meat kept to smaller amounts, the diet keeps calories lower while still delivering the satiety that protein provides. This makes the 30% calorie reduction in the study easier to sustain without feeling deprived, which matters because adherence over months and years is what produces the results. Now, does everyone need to strictly follow the Mediterranean diet to get these benefits? Not necessarily. The study co-author makes an important point here. Adopting elements of the Mediterranean diet, such as increasing intake of fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, and whole grains, can serve as a valuable preventive strategy for bone health and overall well-being, even without a rigid adherence to the full pattern. The closer you get to the overall structure of the diet, the more benefit you get, but partial adoption still moves things in the right direction. The exercise component from the study is worth paying specific attention to. The women doing resistance training alongside the Mediterranean diet and calorie reduction showed the strongest bone outcomes. Resistance training, which includes anything that puts load on the skeleton through weights, bands, or bodyweight exercises, directly stimulates bone formation. It also supports muscle retention during weight loss, which creates a compounding effect on bone protection. If you are currently losing weight and not doing any form of resistance training, adding it is probably the single most impactful change you can make for your bone health. The broader takeaway from this research is something that applies well beyond the specific question of which diet to follow. Weight loss is not a simple subtraction. When done without attention to nutrition quality, adequate protein, key micronutrients, and physical activity, it can create deficits that are not visible on the scale, but show up years later in bone density scans, fracture risk, and metabolic health. The Mediterranean diet with calorie reduction and regular exercise addresses all of those factors at once. If you are currently on a weight loss program, whether through dietary changes alone or with the help of medication, the bone health question is worth asking your doctor about directly. Bone density is not something most people notice declining until a fracture or scan brings it to their attention. And by that point, the loss has already accumulated over years. The study suggests the window to protect against it is open right now, while the weight loss is happening, not after the fact. New videos every day covering the research that helps you make smarter decisions about your health. Subscribe and stay with us.